My name is Hillary Johnson. I married a doctor and struggled to have children. But in the 12th year of our marriage, I got pregnant at 40. Excitedly, I told my husband,
I'd rather have a smart kid with your young and beautiful sister than an ugly kid with you at an advanced maternal age.
He said, handing me divorce papers. At that time, my sister Melissa was 35. She was unbelievably beautiful. Melissa's dream was to marry a high-earning professional like a doctor or lawyer, and the one who got her pregnant was my ex-husband, Kevin. When I first got married, Melissa envied me for marrying a high earner like Kevin. Her feelings were a parade of envy, jealousy, and spite, always questioning why someone as plain as me could marry such a successful man when she couldn't. But I'm not that plain. I consider myself average, just inferior to my sister. But Kevin decided to marry me, and then fell in love with Melissa when he met her at our wedding reception.
Why didn't you introduce me to your sister before deciding to marry me?
When Kevin came to my house to propose, Melissa was out on a date. She didn't show up at the family meeting either, because she was at a mixer. So why would I go out of my way to introduce him to my sister?
Even so, she's your only sister, so isn't it sensible to meet before getting married?
What kind of rule is that? Meeting the parents is essential, but meeting the sister isn't. But since Kevin didn't push it further, I thought he was joking and laughed it off. Kevin worked at a medical center and was a dedicated doctor. If there was an emergency, he prioritized his patients over any plans we had. I respected him for that. But after we got married, it only intensified. He would rush to the hospital, even when he was home, if a patient's condition changed, sometimes not returning at all. It's great that you're so dedicated to your work, but I'm worried you'll ruin your health. Even though I admired him as a doctor, wasn't this too much? How was he as a husband? I had my doubts, but I chose him, thinking he might change once we had children. I kept telling myself that. However, after 10 years of marriage, I started questioning Kevin's behavior. Sure, he was dedicated, but he began staying away from home too often. Worried about his health, I made him a lunch and brought some clothes to the hospital. But I was told Kevin had already gone home. The nurse who informed me looked at me with pity, as if she knew something. After that, I started to suspect something was wrong, and once went to the hospital when Kevin's shift ended. I saw him meeting a woman outside the hospital. From the back, she looked familiar, but I couldn't be sure. More than that, if what I suspected was true, I was too scared to confront him. If it was just an affair, it would end eventually. I thought ignoring it might help maintain our marriage rather than causing trouble and making it serious. Maybe that's how I felt. But I was wrong. One day, I asked Kevin, "What do you think of women like my sister?"
Melissa?
"Yes, Melissa."
She's beautiful, isn't she?
"Is she your type, Kevin?"
Well, compared to you, she's definitely prettier. If I had to marry, I'd prefer a beautiful woman.
"What would you do if Melissa said she wanted to date you?" Kevin stared at me. He might have been wondering whether to tell the truth or brush it off. Of course, I wanted him to say he'd choose me. I wanted him to say Melissa was just my sister. But Kevin said nothing. After that, he came home even less. I shouldn't have asked such a thing. Maybe he thought it was silly. Maybe he found it bothersome. If I hadn't said anything, maybe we could have stayed as a couple. These thoughts filled me with regret. In the midst of this regret, I received the news that I was pregnant. Honey, I'm pregnant. We finally have a baby. We had wanted a child for so long, but couldn't have one. Every time I saw parents with their children, I was so envious. Finally, we can be parents. I was so happy. I called my husband at work. But Kevin's response was cold.
You know I'm at work. Don't call me for something like this. I'm busy.
I'm sorry. Hey, can you come home early today? I'll cook something delicious. Let's celebrate.
How should I know if I can come home early? I'm a doctor. I never know when an emergency will come up.
He said this and didn't come home. I thought he'd be kinder once he knew I was pregnant. I thought he'd be happy with me, but he wasn't. Where has his heart gone? I cried, feeling miserable. I spent a sleepless night. A week later, when Kevin finally came home, he told me he'd rather have a smart kid with my young and beautiful sister than an ugly kid with me. A kid?
Yeah, Melissa's pregnant too, so our relationship is over.
He laughed and placed the divorce papers on the table, urging me to sign them quickly. So it was Melissa after all. There was no mistake. 15 years have passed since then. I've raised them well, haven't I? And triplets, no less. Remembering that day still makes me bitter and sad. But from that day on, I began looking forward to the birth of my daughters. Thanks to my daughters, I was able to overcome Kevin's betrayal. Now they are in middle school. A lot has happened, huh? When one of them suddenly gets a fever, all three get sick together, and I've taken them to the hospital alone. They always wear the same clothes, and if I dress them differently, they complain. Life was tough, and I made 3 identical outfits by hand, finding solace in my children's smiles. Now, my daughters have grown into undeniably beautiful young women. Who do they take after? It's amazing how they turned out so beautiful. It's almost unbelievable that I could give birth to such stunning kids. My mother, who often helped take care of them, used to say that they inherited the best traits from both Kevin and me. If that's true, then my daughters are lucky. Once, Kevin called me ugly, and it hurt deeply back then. But now, when I look at my children, I wonder what he'd think if he saw them. It amuses me. I never thought I'd see Kevin again, or that he'd meet our children. But one day, my mother, who adored my kids, had to be hospitalized. When I went to visit, I found out it was the hospital where Kevin worked. It's a big hospital, so I didn't think we'd run into each other. But as fate would have it, you always meet the people you least want to see.
Hey, Hillary, is that you?
I turned around and saw him in a white coat. 15 years had passed, and his hair was now noticeably gray. The salt and pepper hair had taken away his once handsome appearance.
What's up? You here for the geriatric department?
The geriatric department deals with mental and physical health issues in the elderly, like memory loss, declining comprehension, and mood swings. So he was implying that I was old, even though he was older than me. But those words didn't hurt me anymore. Thanks to him, I had developed a strong spirit. I laughed off Kevin's words and tried to walk away.
Hey, I went out of my way to talk to you. Don't ignore me.
He followed me. Why? Are you so free now that you're 60?
Well, I'm not as busy as I used to be. I have subordinates now.
Good for you, but I'm busy.
Come on, it's been 15 years. Let's talk for a bit.
I don't want to talk to you.
I get it. You had a hard time after I left you, right? Life must have been tough. But who could blame me? Who'd want to spend their life with an ugly woman like you?
Thanks for that.
And look at you now, you've aged even more. You were ugly before, but now it's even worse.
And you've changed too. You're 60 now, right? Your hair's all gray. Where did the man I used to know go with the salt and pepper hair?
Well, it'd be weird if I stayed the same forever, wouldn't it?
He never changes, does he? True. But with that salt and pepper hair, won't your beloved wife dislike you?
Don't worry, that's not a problem.
Oh, really? But you can't beat age, can you? You're close to retirement, aren't you?
I'm still going strong. You're already 55, right? You should start preparing for retirement. Your kids are only 15, so you've got 7 more years to work hard.
True. I don't need the geriatric department just yet.
Can you afford to send your kids to college? You don't have any skills, so I bet you only work as a cashier at a grocery store.
Don't you dare mock grocery store cashiers.
My kids are definitely going to college and will become doctors.
Good for you.
Your kids must be ugly and dumb, so college is pointless for them.
Maybe, maybe not.
By the way, did you have a boy? A dumb boy is the worst.
I have daughters.
Well, at least that's good. Even dumb girls can make money. Maybe you should get them into some service job after high school.
Even though we're divorced, how can you say such things about your own children?
The only kids I have are the ones with Melissa.
Speaking of Melissa, I haven't seen her in 15 years. How's she doing?
Oh, she's supposed to come to the hospital today.
Is she still as beautiful as ever?
Of course she is. What are you talking about?
Kevin sounded uncertain, as if he wasn't entirely sure. My instincts told me something was up. Your kids must be really smart, right? After all, you chose to have smart kids over ugly ones when we divorced.
Of course, they're my kids.
I'd love to see Melissa and the kids. They're my nephews, after all.
You don't need to see them. There's no need.
But we're family. It's natural to want to see my relatives.
I said there's no need to see them.
Why not? I don't mind letting you see my kids. Isn't it strange how you're so against it? She's my sister, you know. It's only natural for me to want to see her.
Melissa doesn't want to see you.
Really? We're only 2 sisters. I don't want our lives to end without seeing each other again.
It's better to stay apart. The difference in living standards would just cause problems.
That's not true. She's my sister, and I'd be happy to see her living well.
You'd be jealous if you're poor and she's rich.
No, I wouldn't. Envying others is pointless. You worry too much.
People aren't that pure. If Melissa is living well, you'd be envious and might even ask for money.
That's ridiculous. At this age, I'd never do that. Besides, what Melissa does with her life doesn't affect me. I don't envy her at all.
Still, it's better if you don't meet.
Why are you so stubborn? Is there something you're hiding?
There's nothing to hide.
Then there's no problem with us meeting. I really want to see my sister. As we were talking, my sister actually appeared. It seems the old saying, "Speak of the devil," came true. But she was unimaginably overweight. Her face was completely different from 15 years ago, now ugly and distorted.
Hillary.
Huh? Who are you?
Come on, did you forget your own sister?
What? How? My surprise was natural. Melissa, who was once model thin and a beauty icon during the divorce drama, had now become exactly what Kevin hated: fat and unattractive. How did you end up like this? She's practically a lump of meat. Kevin is a doctor. Shouldn't he be able to help you maintain your looks?
Well, I thought doctors made tons of money. I figured plastic surgery costs would be nothing. But Kevin's income turned out to be less than I expected, and with the kids, there was no money left for beauty treatments.
Melissa laughed, her large body shaking, seemingly indifferent about her looks. She used to undergo repeated cosmetic surgeries, altering her eyes, nose, and even getting liposuction. Full body hair removal was a given, always keeping her skin smooth, maintaining all that required money. And that money was supposed to come from her husband, a doctor or lawyer. I thought you'd keep up the surgeries even after getting married.
I wanted to, but with 5 kids, there's no money left for myself.
Surrounding Melissa were boys with similar impressive physiques, holding snacks in their hands. They look just like you, Melissa.
Yes, they do. And boys eat a lot.
Yes, they sure do. Just like you did as a kid. They all really did resemble Melissa. It's not just about eating a lot or being boys. None of them resemble Kevin much, though. Just a bit here and there.
Oh, it's good that they look like my husband. No one ever said they looked like you.
Melissa laughed heartily, but Kevin just gave a wry smile. These days, plastic surgery is advanced, especially in places like Korea. It's good to be born in modern times.
Absolutely. If I had the money, I'd get surgery again. But first, I want my kids to have it. Then they'll all be handsome and can marry rich women.
Yeah, but even with kids, it's strange that Kevin's income isn't enough to cover things.
Oh, he has debts. That's why I don't have money.
Debts?
Did he have debts when he was married to you?
Yes, around $30,000 when you stole him.
$30,000? That's nothing. Now it's $180,000.
How did it grow so much?
He's always buying cars. We don't even have enough parking space, and he only has one body. It's pointless, but he insists on buying more.
I think it's amazing you can laugh about it, Melissa.
Really?
So, it's mutual then.
What do you mean?
He didn't know you had plastic surgery, did he? Yet he fell head over heels for your beauty. You thought he was a money tree, But he spent it all, which was unexpected, right?
Yeah, I never thought he'd be such a big spender.
I feel the same. I had no idea that face was made with plastic surgery. You looked so beautiful without makeup. I thought you were naturally gorgeous, Melissa. I was completely fooled. And now your face is falling apart.
If that's how you feel, then instead of buying cars, you should have spent that money on me. I'd still be beautiful now.
That's true. Melissa always said she'd become beautiful and saved up money for it.
Exactly. But marrying someone like Kevin, who can't support that, made everything revert.
To maintain beauty, you need a rich husband, right?
Oh well, it's too late now. No one to impress anymore.
I see.
Hillary, have you had any plastic surgery?
What?
I mean, since Melissa had surgery, it's not surprising if her sister did too.
Melissa lacked confidence and turned to surgery. But I'm confident in myself, so I didn't need it.
Really? So, you look like this naturally, while Melissa needed surgery and is now falling apart.
Don't talk like that about the person you chose. She's still my sister.
Yeah, but you're from the same parents. So, our kids must look similar. They must be ugly.
Oh, you hope they're ugly because losing would be frustrating, right? But I'm the winner here.
No way.
Mom,
I turned to the voice calling me and saw my 3 daughters. They were stunningly beautiful.
Who are they?
My kids.
No way. And 3 of them.
Yes, they were triplets.
Are they really your kids?
Yes, they are.
I can't believe it. Why are they so different? They have the same roots.
The same roots?
Yeah, same grandparents. I'm their dad. So why are they so different?
Well, what can I say?
They're not really your kids, are they?
Excuse me? Don't be rude. These girls are my biological children.
If they're your kids, why are they so beautiful?
Maybe because they have the best traits from both of us. If you keep saying stupid things, I'll sue you for defamation.
But they're so beautiful. They don't need any surgery. Surely they haven't had surgery already?
Of course not. How dare you be so insulting?
Yeah, I guess so.
What are you mumbling about?
I admit they look good, but that doesn't mean they're smart. They must have gotten their bad brains from you, right?
Oh, stop it. You're the worst. But your pride might take a hit because these kids are actually super smart.
No way. They're your kids.
They're yours too.
Oh,
All 3 have an IQ of 130 and are aiming for med school.
Med school? That's amazing. Just like their mom.
what do you mean?
Well, Hillary was always top of her class. I was always at the bottom, so I knew I couldn't compete academically. That's why I focused on my looks.
Huh? But you told me you were top of your class too.
Did you believe that? I exaggerated to marry you. I thought you'd figure it out.
No way. So, these kids.
Kevin looked at his kids with disdain. What a jerk.
My kids always forget things. When I scold them, they forget something else the next day. I've given up. They're always at the bottom in tests. I wondered who they took after, but it's clearly me.
Well, I thought they'd be smart like you, Kevin, but I guess they're more like Melissa. But they'll probably grow up to be very kind.
Yes, personality is more important than brains.
That being said, my sister isn't exactly known for her good personality either. If she had a good personality, she wouldn't have stolen someone's husband. Melissa laughed brightly, while Kevin looked frustrated.
Why? Why are our kids dumb and yours are so smart? I can't accept this.
Kevin, that's inappropriate in front of the kids. You said Melissa's kids would be smart when we divorced.
How could I know she'd be at the bottom of her class? I was deceived.
You didn't have the insight to see the truth?
I trusted what Melissa said.
How pathetic. Well, at least you got to marry a beautiful woman. That should be enough. No matter how upset he is, he can't change reality. But Kevin looked furious, his mouth twisted in frustration. My daughters whispered among themselves.
Who is this guy?
Are these kids really aiming to become doctors?
Yes, it runs in the family.
Doctors, huh?
Mom, is this guy someone you know?
Well, I wouldn't call him a friend, but yes, we know each other.
What are you talking about? I'm your father. I made you.
My daughters' faces filled with contempt. It's natural, given that I've always told them the truth whenever they asked about their dad. I told them what kind of man their father was, how he didn't care about hurting people. I know you shouldn't teach kids such things. But if Kevin found out about my daughters and showed up, he might use his money to take them away. Kevin would definitely want to claim their beauty and intelligence for himself. That's why I did it. And now it's all unfolding right before my eyes. But
Oh, you're the guy who abandoned us.
one of my daughters said, and another added,
A man who can't see past appearances.
and another laughed.
So that's why you didn't notice the plastic surgery.
Finally, they all said in unison, "What a pathetic old man." Kevin seemed at a loss for how to respond. Since waiting for Kevin to react was pointless, I turned to see what my daughters were holding. "What did you buy? You said you were going to the bookstore, right?"
Yeah, we thought they'd have what we needed, and they did.
They showed me a stack of reference books.
Middle school studies are boring now, so we got college-level reference books, a German book, and some medical books.
Sharing books has been their habit since they were little. And now, with similar goals, they still do.
If you want to be a doctor, mastering German is important. Right, mister?
Are they really this smart? They're still in middle school.
I told you, they have an IQ of 130.
Mom, we need to go see Grandma. She's waiting.
Yes, let's go. As we left, Melissa waved and said, "See you later," while Kevin, looking defeated, said nothing. A month later, Kevin called. He said something unbelievable.
Give me those kids.
What? Those kids?
Yes, the 3 daughters you raised.
Why? You have your own children.
They're hopeless idiots. I don't want them. The daughters you raised have my genes. They're definitely mine, so give them to me.
What? You think I'd give my precious daughters to someone who says he doesn't want his own kids? Think before you speak.
I'm about to retire, but I'll be working as a consulting doctor afterward. I'll make sure they become doctors. But you can't do that, can you?
Why not?
Becoming a doctor requires money. How can a single woman afford tuition? It would be a waste if these three brilliant kids couldn't become doctors because of a lack of money.
You don't need to worry about that.
How can you say that? Do you even know how much it costs to become a doctor?
I'm remarried.
Remarried? To who?
The director of the hospital where you work.
What? You're the director's wife.
Yes. So, when they become doctors, they'll work at that hospital and eventually take over.
A gold mine.
That's not the point. Becoming a doctor is their dream, their goal. It's not about money.
But it's a fact. It is a gold mine.
That's why they'll never respect you, Dr. Johnson.
Come on, there are three of them. Can't I have just one? Just one would be enough to ensure my old age is secure. My own kids are useless.
Kids aren't money trees.
That's an idealistic view. I'm in real trouble here.
I can't believe someone like you is a doctor. You better watch out.
I don't care if you don't remarry me. Just give me the kids.
Kevin kept shouting desperately, but I hung up without hesitation. Angry, I consulted my husband. He immediately had Kevin transferred. His new position was at a small clinic in a remote mountain village, serving mainly elderly patients. Instead of working diligently, Kevin developed a terrible reputation. He would treat beautiful women politely, but was rude and dismissive to everyone else. At the medical center, patients and nurses celebrated his departure. He was shocked to realize how much he was disliked. He never thought that people perceived him in such a negative way. He would often say, "There's no way I'm staying in this backwater clinic forever. I'm not the kind of man who will get buried in a place like this," or whatever. Of course, what he was really complaining about wasn't his position or sense of purpose, but the significant pay cut he suffered by being sent to such a remote location. His main argument was that he couldn't support his 5 children on such a reduced salary. However, it seems the children are thriving, enjoying the abundant nature, and playing happily every day. Melissa occasionally contacted me, expressing her relief and happiness with their new life. While Melissa and the kids adapted well, Kevin struggled. He took a part-time job at a distant hospital to make ends meet. However, despite working part-time, their difficult financial situation hasn't changed. He managed to get by while paying off debts, but unlike his family, who were gaining weight from a healthy lifestyle, it seemed he is losing weight drastically, possibly due to illness. Melissa informed me recently that Kevin had become weak and lost his once high spirits. His pride was always high, but mentally he was fragile. Seeing him suffer was satisfying. As for me, my children continue to grow beautifully, and we live a happy life together.